Hi, I'm Denavia Hall. I'm a junior. I'm shooting guard on the SMU women's basketball team, and I'm majoring in business real estate and minoring in sports management. I'm here to introduce the Walking Strong podcast.
Fantastic. Denavia crushed it. We just recruited her just right here when she was working out at Armstrong Fieldhouse, and we said, "All right, what do you think about this?"
Literally.
Okay, yeah, she killed it. Nice job.
This is the On the Pony Express podcast, hosted by Billy Embody, brought to you by Epoch Estate Wines. Walking strong on the Pony Express, a weekly segment with SMU alum, owner, vintner of Epoch Estate Wines, Bill Armstrong. Epoch Estate Wines, world-class wines from Paso Robles wine country. Learn more, Epoch, E-P-O-C-H, epochwines.com. And now your host. Billy Embody.
1, 2, 3, let me go.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Walking Strong. Bill Armstrong, Scott Nady. This is where we just wind him up.
Scott Nady in the house. I've wanted to have Nady on this podcast since we started the podcast.
Yes.
Because you talk about a guy with some panache. I mean, do you understand what that word even means, panache? I mean, this je ne sais quoi, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, sir.
Well, since you brought up French, we have wine today.
Let's do it.
So I have got, for this first off-season podcast, the most amazing Epoch wine. This is our brand new rosé. This will rock your world. So I am gonna. Can you drink even though you're on the payroll?
I can do it. We're on vacation right now.
Oh, you're on vacation. Okay,
Yep.
good. I don't want Rhett to get mad at me.
Nope.
So that would suck.
Everything in moderation.
Everything. Yep. All right, so let me tell you while they're pouring that about this wine, and then we'll get into talk about what I know everybody wants to hear about is how SMU is doing in the transfer portal, with recruiting, with NIL, all the exciting things. But this wine was just rated by one of the most prominent critics in the country, a gal by the name of Haley Coggill. She rated this rosé the number one rosé on the planet. Number one in the world. So funny. I was driving down Central Expressway, and I got a text from a friend of mine in Canada, and he goes, "Dude, you're hitting big time." You know, so I'm driving down the highway, and of course you aren't supposed to do this, right? So, and it says top 25 from worst to first. 25, get to 20, not my name. 15, not my name. 10, 5, boom, number one. Okay, let's talk about football. You want to? Because we have a lot to talk about.
Let's do it.
And I've been first of all, let me introduce you.
Sure.
Scott Nady has been here for
I'm going on my seventh season.
Mm-hmm. And he's famous in this town. Grew up in Dallas.
Yes, sir.
He was started the football program at Parish Episcopal.
I did.
Yep. You won the state championship in 2010 and 2014.
I did.
Unbelievable. So you're famous in this town. So you are Dallas through and through.
Born and raised.
Yes, and you love this town.
I'll die here.
Just like I do too. And I think that's one of your big hooks to relate to these young men that are thinking about coming to SMU.
Sure.
Is because you know how great Dallas is, how Dallas has treated you,
Amen.
et cetera.
Yeah.
Married with two great kids. His daughter, Phoenix Nady, is actually going to be my intern at my winery starting in 2 weeks. I'm psyched about that. But I love bragging on Phoenix. She is going to school at Juilliard.
Yes.
She was only one of 9 out of 15,000?
11,000.
11,000 to get in Juilliard. So a huge deal.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of her. I know you are too.
Very much so.
And so anyway, I just wanted to brag on Phoenix just a little bit. I was hoping she'd be here to introduce us, but Denavia got the nod instead.
Yeah.
And she did a great job.
She crushed it.
She did a great job.
Fantastic job.
Okay, well, let's talk about football because I know Mustang Nation really wants to hear about like our momentum, the ACC, how things have changed for you. So I'm just going to let you roll.
Yeah.
And if I need to interrupt you, I'm here for plucky comic relief.
You got it. Well, it's a really exciting time to be on the Boulevard. I think arguably probably the most exciting time to be involved with SMU football in well over 30 years. Obviously, the transition to the ACC is a huge thing for us, but really the momentum the program has created and is now sustaining prior to the introduction to the ACC, I think in and of itself is pretty incredible. We just had the biggest recruiting weekend in school history. We had 24, I believe, young men in town with their families. And really for us, a big weekend is usually 7. That's
we don't call that Pony Express weekend.
Pony Express weekend. And it was something that really was 100% Rhett Lashlee. He had done something similar back in his days in Auburn. And I'll follow Rhett Lashlee blindly anywhere. But I got to admit, when he brought up this idea, I was thinking that is a lot of kids and a lot of people. And I've stayed up with the parents till 2 a.m. in the hotel talking about everything under the sun for the past 7 years on recruiting trips. And I was like, that's a lot of people to interact with. But he said it would work. So I was all in, and so was everybody else.
I think it's cool the kids got to know each other, and they look at
it was incredible.
They look at the other guys that are thinking about SMU.
I had no idea how it was going to really work. I just believed it would, just like the rest of our staff did. And at the end of it, although we were all totally exhausted, it was incredible. Huh. I mean, because, oftentimes you hear peer pressure is a bad thing, well, as a head coach for 20 some odd years, it's one of the greatest tools in the world if used properly. It's always has a negative connotation, but when peer pressure is used in a positive way, it's an incredible force, and so we had this rock that the kids would sign if they were jumping in the boat. And
it means signing on.
Yeah, signing on, committing to come to SMU. And when they were signing that, the excitement that was created, it was no different than a velvet rope in front of a club. You might not. I want to be on the other side of that rope. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I have no idea what's in there. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's in there, but I want to go. It looks fun.
There's a line outside.
Yeah, there's a line over this music. So we created that excitement, and it was organic, and it wasn't hokey. It wasn't corny. It's pretty easy to recruit, I think, when you truly love where you are and you love the people you're around, you love the place you're at. I mean, it's for 7 years now, people have been saying, oh, you're doing such a great job of recruiting. And I would love to, beat my chest. We've had a lot of people come and go out of here, so-called self-proclaimed recruiting gurus. And guess what? We were kicking ass before they came, and we're kicking ass after they left. And we're going to kick ass as long as this.
I love it.
As long as this university is standing. So when people say I'm doing a great job, I do take great pride in it, and it makes me feel good. But at the same time, I'm selling SMU in Dallas, right? Yeah. I mean, it has not.
I mean, can you imagine these young men walking onto this campus?
Come on.
By the way, SMU is looking the prettiest I've ever seen.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
All the trees are starting to get mature. It's green. I've never seen Dallas so green.
Is ready for the ACC.
It's ready
for the ACC.
Yeah.
Driving down the boulevard is like you're driving down like Oak Alley. It's just like so.
Well, if you see me in a golf cart on campus, there's a chance I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So oftentimes hey, he might be going to do something important. Nope. I might just be driving around campus enjoying it.
I love it.
And so I think our staff does an incredible job. Our head coach is very easy to identify with. One of the parents said to me this weekend, said, God, Rhett's always around, and he's accessible, and he has fun, and he's approachable. And I said, yeah, that's him. That's not a recruiting weekend put on.
Yeah.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say they have an open door policy. Rhett Lashlee has that to a fault at times. He is about as accessible as any head coach I've ever been around in my life. And so, again, as a guy that's in recruiting, I mean, what is there not to sell? We have an incredible campus, incredible degree. Yep. We're right in the heart of Dallas.
Life after ball.
The alumni.
Now we're in a P4.
Yeah,
and we're going to be playing all these amazing schools.
Yeah, it's well, look, when I was a kid in Dallas, SMU was winning national championships, and it was big time football. And so I used to drive by even after college. I would drive by, and I had my whole presentation to whoever was in my car. We drove by, and I would give this whole dissertation about if the right guys ever got to SMU, they'd win national championships again.
Yeah.
Because the
right.
location and the support and Dallas and all these things. I never thought that I would be one of the right guys, but I feel incredibly blessed to be so. And we do have the right people now, and we have the right conference, and we have the right affiliation. And so, people always cringe when but I say it openly, and I say it as whoever will listen. I wake up every morning focused on trying to win a national championship.
That's my goal too, man.
And I think we can do it. Now, you put me at 3 or 4 other campuses. Look, I think I'm a darn good recruiter. But I let people figure that out for themselves. I don't need to beat my chest to say it. But in this scenario, I'll say it in the context of, you take me and put me somewhere else. Am I that as successful at recruiting? No. It's
right.
It's not me. It's not anybody. It's this place, and it's this location, and it's the staff as a whole. I'm a piece of an incredible machine.
Well, you're great at it, dude. I mean,
I appreciate it.
I know your sales skills. I like it that you're not in different kind of sales, because you're changing young men's lives. And that really, really, it's noticeable to me, because I noticed that when I talk to you about recruits all the time, you say things to me that I don't think about. You say things like, he won't fit in our locker room.
Yeah.
Or, his backstory is such that he's perfect for SMU. Things that I don't have any idea about, but you really research these young men. You really know their backstory, their families, etc. And
it's a labor of love. I'll say this, and when I was playing football, obviously I loved it during the season for sure.
What was it?
I played wide receiver and return kickoffs.
You told me that story.
I was a very, very speedy Caucasian.
You ran the 40 in like 4.4, right?
Just a tad bit below that once upon a time.
No kidding.
Yep.
I asked you once how that happened. You said when a smart lady, a fast lady met a fast man and they decided to have sex.
Yeah.
That's
basically it. That's basically it. Yeah. Look, everybody's like, well, did you do a lot of plyos, or did you do a lot of power cleans? I was like, nope. A really fast woman had a baby with a fast man.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens about 99.9% of the time.
Oh, I love that.
People saw a lot of gimmick shoes and stuff, and a lot of jump ropes. It's fantastic. God love them. But if the wrong people have a baby, you ain't fast.
You ain't
and if the right people have a baby, you are.
I can't. By the way, you play. I'm glad that you played at Cal.
I did.
Just can't see you at Cal.
Steve Mariucci came to Dallas, and he was the receiver coach there. And Mooch got me to go out there. And like any good salesman, much of my presentation is plagiarism. And one of the things he told me that really resonated with me, and I say it to kids all the time here, he said, if you go to USC or Notre Dame or Miami, the other places you're looking, and they win, who cares?
Yeah.
But if you come to Cal and we win, everyone in the country is going to know about it.
You'd be driving around on the field in a golf cart.
Brightly, yeah, like my man. And but and it was true. And he said, look, if you want to jump on somebody else's train, go do it. You're more than welcome. But if you want to build a train and build a legacy, come here. Well, that transitions perfectly into what we're doing.
Yeah, totally.
And so, we're after that pioneer entrepreneurial spirit. We're good because I'm here type of kid, and not a kid that wants to, just be another nameless, faceless guy in a very long list of nameless, faceless guys at predominant, universities. So, we know what our personality of our guy looks like. We know our ideal locker room guy. And we know when he's a little bit off center from that, and we know, hey, we can bring this guy in line and really get the most out of him, and I will say, just, full disclosure, we've had really, really, really good players that we've decided to not recruit based on one thing or another, where we didn't think there would be a fit. And we've had other guys that other schools really maybe not have wanted, but we saw something in them we thought was special. We thought that was innately SMU-esque. And they've worked out incredibly well.
I love it.
You posted a picture over the weekend with Delano and Mike Williams, Robinson and Mike Williams, bringing back guys like that. We talk about, winning a national championship, but being successful away from the field. And when you bring those guys back for recruiting weekends to get them on a panel, how does that complement everything you guys are saying?
Man, it is, first of all, nothing sells like a visual example of what is possible, right? So when a young 17 or 18-year-old kid is sitting at a recruiting breakfast, and all of a sudden a guy walks in and looks kind of like him, and the guy says that 4 years ago he was him, then the kid sits up and says, wow, this is incredible. Like, what is he? And I can be that, and
they're killing it, by the way.
Yeah, they're both of them. And look, I like football tremendously. I love kids. That's my drug. I love the players and watching them develop, and I love the interaction, and I love them finding themselves and figuring it out, and to have the finished product of that whole journey. I was laughing with Delano. We walked over and saw the new facility, and I was talking to a recruit, and I said, I put Delano on kickoff his freshman year, and the one thing that was 100% certain was Delano was either going to run through someone's soul, or he wasn't going to touch a soul. He's going to go 900 miles an hour. It's either a home run or a strikeout. You know what I mean? It was exciting to watch. If you ISO cammed him, he was either going to make a huge hit and make both sides of the stadium go wow,
ISO cammed.
or he was going to completely whiff at 900 miles an hour. And it's fun to see. He and Mike talk to those young men, and kind of say, look, I remember being you.
Two different perspectives.
Oh, completely different. Yes, and
it is really weird now. I mean, I was talking with, by the way, I appreciate how hard you work at this job. I mean,
thank you.
I played in the Eric Dickerson football tournament.
Yeah.
And I was in the cart with Rhett.
Yeah.
It was like a 5-hour round, typical, bullshit.
Backed up.
And he talked on the phone for 4.5 hours.
Probably 3 of it to me.
I mean, to so many recruits. Yeah. And it was like, and he would get in the cart and he goes, here's the thing, man. I'm recruiting high school kids.
Yeah.
I'm recruiting transfers, and I'm recruiting the people on our team to not transfer out.
That's exactly right.
I mean, it's like it's 3 times what it used to be.
No question.
It used to be just high school.
Yeah.
And now it's like it's a completely new game. And by the way, I think it's an unsustainable game the way it's going now.
Economically, I would say so. Just the flow of talent, I think it's in a great place, but they have to have some. It's hard to have unrestricted free agency and no salary cap.
Right.
If that was possible, one of the professional leagues would have done it.
Right.
But those guys are a lot smarter than us, and they figured out there's no way
you can do that.
To do that, yeah.
This is even wilder than free agency.
This is wheels off. This is wheels off. But I'll say this: one really, I think, great benefit is that it is driving a lot of guys out of the business that don't love kids, because
they want to go to the NFL.
Yes,
I'm not going to mess with that.
They don't want to mess with this.
Which is interesting.
Which is fine with me, because I'd rather have them not in the game. You know what I mean? I think young men deserve people surrounding them at the college level that truly care about them as people. And if you're going to recruit, like you said, transfers, recruit high school kids, recruit your own roster, you are inundated with personal relationships of college young men all the time. I was walking over here texting one of our players on the drive over here. I talked to one of our players, and when I was leaving my house, one of our players currently on the roster called me with an issue that I'm going to leave here and go help him take care of. But I love that. You know what I mean? And that's what the profession has become. And when I was playing, look, you signed and you were locked in for 5 years.
Right.
And you better like it or
if
else.
you made a mistake, it's terrible.
They would try to really work through it instead of be like, okay, this is an opportunity to move on.
Sure. And so the young men we have on our roster, we truly want on our roster, because guess what? The harsh reality is we could have other guys, and
by the way, SMU has not had that luxury since the mid 80s.
Amen.
It hasn't happened in a long, long time. So,
Amen.
And finally now, and by the way, we're incredibly blessed at SMU to have an alum support through NIL. I mean, think about this. We're going up against a bunch of schools with 10 times the alumni numbers that we have at SMU. I mean, we have a lot of successful alums, but it's a big deal to try to compete with a Clemson, a Florida State, a Virginia, Duke. I mean, not to mention any of the SEC guys. Because you're competing with all those guys.
With every school in the country. We were going head to head with Michigan on a couple of kids, and you looked at the
Florida State.
You look at the alumni numbers at Michigan compared to our alumni numbers. I mean,
just all threw in a buck.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I will say this: our NIL program is I believe second to none.
Boulevard Collective and Pony Sports DTX, friends of the program.
But incredible friends of the program, university, and the kids, and they're run by incredible people.
But hats off to Kyle Miller and Chris Kleinert. I mean, it's a big job.
Charlie Wilson,
man behind the scenes.
And there's none of this look, guys, we're not sitting here drinking the number one wine in the world without our NIL program. Let's be honest. You know, it is what it is. And
right.
And people say, well, I don't like NIL. Well, that's fine. You know, Blockbuster didn't like Netflix. You know what I mean? You know, and
so
you know,
funny.
And guess what?
Well, now you can go to the Red Lobster now.
I'll meet you at Blockbuster right after the podcast.
Yeah.
So you either change with the industry or you're extinct, right? And we've done, I think, an incredible job through their leadership changing with the industry. And I will say this, another feather in the hat of our university, our program, our guys. We've had players on our roster get offered more money to go other places, and they've turned it down. Yeah. And there's no reason to put anybody on blast, but I'll say we have one player who was offered a tremendous amount more money to go out to the West Coast. And he laughed and told me, he said, do you think I'm going to sell my connections at SMU for that amount for 1 year?
Oh, wow.
So you're out of your mind. He said, I'm going to be on the boulevard after I finish playing, doing business deals.
He's right.
And he gets it. He gets it. And you know, he's of the James Prochet, you know, mold of really doing SMU right. You know, and
by the way, another intern of mine this year.
Yeah, that's right.
He's on the wall back.
He's on the wall, and
he starts interning this year in June 20th.
I've known James since he was about 14 years old.
Huh.
And since he's not here to defend himself, I will say we beat him like a dog when we played him. Now, incidentally,
later this summer he'll have a rebuttal.
Incidentally, they did come back and beat us, which he tends to bring up on occasion. But I don't really remember that game. Yeah. I remember the game we destroyed him.
He's
the transfers that you guys have brought in.
Yes,
and almost all of them from the Power 5 ranks. Maybe all of them. Just try not to forget one here. How important is that piece? Guys that have been there, guys that have won a national championship in some cases, guys that have been around winning. They want to be in their hometown. Combining all of that with guys you guys are familiar with.
Yeah, you know, it's a colossal chemistry set, right? I mean, and although you may, you know, if you guys had little kid chemistry sets, you know, the first thing you want to do is figure out how to make stuff blow up, right? And well, you know, that's the last thing we want to do. You know,
mine creepy crawlers.
You're pouring stuff together, and you don't know how it's going to react. Hey, you're pouring things into this beaker that is our locker room that you don't want to blow up, right? And so you have to be very intentional, and you have to be, like you said, knowledgeable of who this person is and their backstory and where they come. It's not just the old days of this guy can, you know, he can get off the ball, you know, and he has great pad level. Yep, we'll take him. That's not it. You know, you can win games like that, but you win championships with chemistry. You win championships with full-scale buy-in. And you build great companies with chemistry and full-scale buy-in. It's
look at what Connecticut's done with their basketball program.
Exactly.
They're not the one-and-done kids.
So to address your question, we have to be very intentional. Yes, it's a huge feather in our cap that they're power 4 guys, and they've been on a big stage, and that won't scare them. But the reality is, you know, real dogs and real players, you might blink 2 or 3 times when the lights are real bright and there's lots of fans, but after about the second or third rep, you are who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a James Prochet or I can name any of our
Rashid,
any of our
think about it.
Any of our alphas that we've had. It doesn't matter. They're going to compete as hard in here playing kickball as they do in the national championship. Yeah. They're competitors. That's their genetic default. You know, so how much a kid loves football and how hard he wants to compete is a huge box for us to check and figure out. Yeah. And a lot of times that can supersede a lot of the measurables.
Competition on the offensive and defensive line.
Oh,
by the way, that was the transfer. The hole we had to fill.
We did.
Is because the one thing that we're afraid of going to the American or the ACC is the depth of the big uglies.
Right.
And by the way, if any offensive views, I don't mean you're ugly. But that's just a nickname, right? It's
big boned.
Big boned.
Big boned.
But some of the guys you got can bend in some ways.
Man, come on.
Seriously, how big are these young men? I mean, they're like almost the offensive line is almost over 300 pounds. Right?
One 300-pounder on the defensive line last year.
Yes.
Now 4 or 5.
Believe 5. Yeah. But I can always take a few kids to CC's Pizza, and we can rectify that.
Yeah, 6, 7,
6 or 7, good for $30. But there's I'll tell you where we're going is a game of attrition. It's not so much as it is a game of talent, right? The best team is the team who's the healthiest at the end of the year.
Yeah, week 9.
Yes.
All of a sudden you wake up and
who do you have available?
You got Notre Dame, who's got they're 3 deep.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so we knew we had to create tremendous depth on our offensive and defensive line, and we have in Coach Tibbs and Coach Justice 2 guys that are such good teachers that they have no problem rolling different personnel groups. Yeah. A lot of times you'll have guys that get stuck on 5 guys in the offensive line, and maybe they'll rotate in a guy. But we had 6 guys last year that were all conference, which is a ridiculous stat. Yeah. And I although I came to some games as a boy in the early 80s, I wasn't as aware of the roster. And so when I talked to some of the guys who were really in it, they said what made SMU great is they would have 2 offensive lines that would play first and third quarter and second and fourth quarter. And we're just about at that spot, that we and the drop off from
pretty
first.
Fresh.
Oh yeah. And there's nothing more demoralizing as a D lineman or an O lineman than to be at war with a guy, and you come in the next series and it's a new guy and he's just as tough and
he's fresh
and you're worn down. I mean, and so we have tremendous depth on our offensive line. Both those coaches, Guerin and Tibbs, do a great job of managing the room to where it's not a starters and non-starters, friction. It's kind of all for one for all. And when this guy's gash, you're in, and you're expected to toe the line, and there's no drop off. And I think where you'll see a huge difference this year in SMU football will be up front on both sides of the ball.
I got one more question, and then we could either close it out or you got anything else. But there's not a tougher position to retain talent right now with the search for needing a quarterback.
Yes,
that can do it.
Right,
and you guys have both of them.
Yep,
that played significantly and started.
I agree with you. I was just going to mention that. I mean, I think the idea that we have KJ and Preston coming in, they're both fantastic.
Yes.
And either one of them could lead this program. That's a good problem to have.
And keep them, though.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the culture.
It speaks to the culture. And again, people were patting us on the back saying, great job. We have a tremendous university. We have a tremendous coaching staff. We have a head coach that makes everyone feel as though they're important to the mission. Not just the starting quarterback, but the assistant equipment guy, right? And that's a talent and a skill that's when it's genuine, which it is in our case with our head man, it's pretty rare, and kids appreciate that. And I'll say this: either one of those guys can lead this team. And here's another little wrinkle I'll throw out there. Keldrick Luster, who is,
I hear he's been crushing it.
Keldrick Luster is he's an absolute smoke show. Yeah. And you ask anybody, you ask
That's
anyone,
he can rip it.
What he can run, he can rip it, he
Watch
can
him put 700 yards by himself.
Dude, ask anyone at north side of town. It was Keldrick Luster and a bunch of guys named Joe against everybody else. He was a one-man gang. You ask Lovejoy. Yeah. I mean, he put on a clinic. So, look, he's young and he's going to be great. But if, God forbid, if the unthinkable happened and we had to, get to Keldrick, I would not be panicked at all.
And you beat out a bunch of Power 5 programs to get Tyler too.
There's no question. I mean, there's no question.
The quarterback room is so healthy.
The quarterback room is great, and they get along with each other. There's no jealousy or friction, and which De'Aaron King does a great job of connecting with players. He's fresh enough to have just done it professionally a couple seasons ago. He's laid back. He's
he is going to be a superstar. I think, Derek.
There's no question. There's no question, and he's I think the demeanor of a head coach, demeanor of an offensive coordinator, and demeanor of quarterback coach are extremely important you don't need guys losing their mind. Now you can have a D-line coach, whatever, and that's completely nuts, and that's fine. I've seen guys that are super successful and completely unhinged. But those three positions, I think you need to be the same guy when it's going great and the same guy when it's going terrible.
That's right.
Because when the bullets are flying, kids are on the sidelines and they're
freaking out.
They look to you.
They look to the leader.
Yes. Yep. If the leader is throwing clipboards and losing his mind, then they think he don't know what he's doing. Yep. I mean, De'Aaron King's as cool as the other side of the pillow, and he is. He's the same guy when things are going great and the same guy when the house is on fire. D King is just level-headed.
D King.
So's Rhett, and that's valuable. Oftentimes I think an overlooked, extremely important asset. For kids at times they're going to need reassurance that things are okay. Yep. And if their demeanor, their default setting is laid back, then it translates.
I agree. All right. Well, listen, I could talk all day about what we've done. I know
we didn't plan our vacation. We didn't. We'll start this at 8 a.m. next time.
We didn't even talk about the defensive backfield, which has just completely been transformed.
Yep.
So I'm really excited. You know what? I don't think I'll probably ever say this on your podcast. Sonny Dykes, I want to thank you for one thing. It's bringing this guy to SMU.
Well,
I got to show just a little bit of love right there. Okay,
I will say the same thing.
My daughter said, "Dad, you need to lay off Sonny Dykes this year."
I will say the same thing. I couldn't be more appreciative that Sonny gave me the opportunity.
Yeah,
and I will always be appreciative of that. And he changed things for me and my family by bringing me here and saying yes. And he did great things while he was here. I know he may have ruffled some feathers in the way the departure went. But there's
not at all.
No.
Not at all.
But
feathers.
But I'll say this.
I'll
say this. We have a incredibly beautiful new end zone facility. That if that departure had not have happened the way it did, we wouldn't have that.
Yep.
When rich guys get angry, things either get torn down or built.
I mean, one thing I've never told. We're starting a podcast, for God's sakes. Our dozens of fans are going to appreciate it. Right? It was funny was when they were looking to raise the money for this building.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Morris came to me and said, "I want you to put the money up." And I said, "Okay, here's the deal. If we build this, then it's your facility when you're using it, but it's the university's facility all the other time."
Yeah.
Chad said, "Nope, got to be football all the time."
There's also a new underground tunnel system involved in the first renderings of the Chad Morris one. Oh yeah,
it was complicated.
Like under
super complicated.
Fantastic.
But then I came to Sonny. I said, "Do you want me to put this money in this?" And I said, "It's got to be the university's building." And he's like, "Oh hell yeah,
yeah."
And you know what? This is Gerald Turner said. This is the most versatile building space on campus. It's used all the time.
Some people said the trees wouldn't be able to breathe with it on here.
Yeah. No, it's.
I love it. And wait till you see the new end zone. I had dinner with Gary Weber a couple of nights ago. He is so excited. It is. It will be world class.
Yes, it is.
I've been all over the country and I've seen most of the big facilities, and we'll be top three from the time it opens for several years.
Yeah.
And
it's an arms race, so you always know that everybody's trying to beat it.
It's phenomenal.
By the way, if anybody has yet to get anybody who has yet to get tickets, the seats in the end zone are unbelievable because the rake of the end zone are so steep.
Yeah,
you're literally sitting right on top of it. You're right on top of the end zone.
Yeah, you know what? Look, this thing right here.
It's right there.
If you haven't purchased season tickets and you live within an hour's driving distance of SMU, what are you doing?
You're going to pick them up in the morning.
What are you doing? You want to be a bandwagon jumper? Get it now. Because
get it. I mean, think about it. This year we have BYU at home, Florida State at home, TCU at home.
Yep.
We have Boston College, Cal, Pitt.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the greatest home schedule in the history of whatever. I mean, it is just phenomenal. And we want that stadium full.
Yes.
And if you're right, don't jump on the bandwagon after it's running down the road.
Get your season tickets right now and encourage your friends to do the same thing.
Big flashing phone number.
Yes, right across here.
And it's cheap. I mean, it's cheap. I mean, it's the best.
Oh, it's the best deal in town.
Yeah,
it's the best deal in town.
You come early, you hang out on the boulevard. You just hang out with your friends,
and drink some rosé.
Yep,
and you come in the stadium when the game starts.
Yeah, as opposed to all the fraternity and sorority girls, make sure you show up. Before kickoff.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
But They were crushing it this year.
Our students this year were incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like
they just got up way too big in a lot of the home games.
Hey, let's full disclosure. There was a couple half times that I was seeing if I could sneak out. Yeah. There's some good movies. Yeah. When you're up 50 to something at half.
By the way, how much fun is that?
Yeah.
Because how many years did we go where we were the ones getting our ass kicked at halftime?
There's no question.
It's going to be a little bit.
A funny side story. We're at Temple. Not many people know this. We're at Temple, and Rhett is
that stadium is empty.
Yeah, it was empty, but it was a beautiful stadium. Empty. And
this past year.
Yeah, this past year, and Rhett, in the middle of the second quarter, all the close into the second quarter, his voice just goes out. Completely. Right. Like, and so he's doing this and
laryngitis or
instantaneous laryngitis. Like, and so we go in halftime and we are scrambling. Like, we're trying to get hot tea, we're trying to get cocoa, we're giving him lozenges, we're just jamming stuff down his throat. And he basically whispered the rest of the game and had it relayed. But thank God there was no fans there because we had no crowd interference. Yeah. The whisper was enough. Just about.
Miami or Clemson or Florida State.
Yeah, not so much. No, it's an incredible time to be at SMU. Thank you guys for having me.
It's so great to see you.
Yeah,
I really appreciate what you do for the school.
Well, I love it. I love this place. I love these kids, and I love this city. And I pray to God this will be my last coaching job of my life.
Well, wouldn't that be awesome, Billy?
Cheers
for the new podcast, first of the year.
Yes, what a way to start off the summer.
Yeah.
Amen.
This is so good.
Stopping by on the
Thank you.
If anybody wants to buy this rosé, you better go fast because it's about sold out.
Number one rosé in the world.
In the world.
Yeah, there you go, baby. All right, thanks, Billy.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for doing the Walking Strong podcast. Check us out next time. We'll be out later this summer with another edition. Catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the On the Pony Express podcast with Billy Embody. Follow us on your socials on X at SMU3 and on Instagram at On3SMU. And keep it locked to OnThePonyExpress.com for more coverage.